one, I'm doing some horror franchises. 3. Well, one's huge. The other one's semi-big, I guess. The third one, not so much, but they're all known, obviously. It's Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Fatal Frame series I'm going to be going over today. I do have some games here. I don't own all the games in the series, not even close. But I just grabbed the ones I have, or most of the ones I have. I'm going to start with Resident Evil. This is director's cut for the PlayStation, so this one added the analog control compatibility. Maybe some other stuff as well. This copy I got for $2 at the Antiques and Geeks in town. And the other copy I got for less than that at a garage sale when I was back in Islip. I kept this one. I ended up selling the other copy because that is in better shape than this one. Oddly enough, the first Resident Evil released on the PlayStation in 96 maybe? It was a big deal at the time, I know that. Like, I didn't have it. My first introduction with Resident Evil was the second one on the Nintendo 64. But I know, like, I had friends in college at the time that were like people would make a big deal out of it in the dorms. Like, people would be playing this and people would, like, come into their dorm room and huddle around the TV and be like, oh my god, you know. It was a big deal at the time. It's the first one of many. My introduction with the first one was the remake on the Cube, the GameCube. Which is funny enough, it's like 5 years later, 6 years later, I think it was '02. May '02, I believe the remake came out on GameCube. And 5 years later, 6 years later, they're making a remake of the game. And that game still holds up graphically, in my opinion, because it's got the still backgrounds. The Resident Evils have still backgrounds and stuff. Some of the Final Fantasies, I believe, had it in other games as well. And they kind of hold up still. And even the character models and stuff from those, Zero and the first one, hold up very well. But they're classic games. Not particularly creepy to me, especially not for a while at least. But I always like the atmosphere. In Raccoon City in the first, well, you're in the mansion out to the outskirts, I guess, of Raccoon City in the first one. Chris Redfield, Barry, Jill, Wesker's there. A couple others that I cannot remember their names. They all are in the manual, actually, probably. I think one of them's name's Richard something. Brad Vickers is another one, right? Barry, Joseph Frost, there's Chris, there's Brad Vickers, Jill, Richard Aiken, Rebecca Chambers, Enrico Marini, Forrest Speyer, and Kenneth J. Sullivan. Now, Rebecca was in the first one. They were there, like, when they do Zero, it's like they got there first, that team. Got to the mansion first. Or whatever. I don't know the ins and outs. But anyway, everybody knows Resident Evil. I'm not going to go into the lore of all Resident Evil, but Wesker was like a traitor. He turns on you. And he was the antagonist for a bit. He didn't pop up in every game, actually. He was kind of behind the scenes in some, but 5, he's directly there. This one, he's there. Does he pop up in 2 or 3? I don't believe so. He's mentioned in 4. He's talking to Ada in 4 and stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to remember everything. But in the beginning, you couldn't move and shoot. At the time, you didn't care. But it was a problem because zombies, you wouldn't be able to see them. They'd be off screen. And then they'd appear and you'd be stuck. You'd sit there and have to shoot and you can't move. I think the first Revelations was the one that changed that. To moving and shooting. But it was a huge series, the second one. A lot of people still regard the second one as the best. That's when you're using Chris or Jill in the first one. Zero you're using Rebecca and Billy. I don't know his last name. He was like an escaped. No, well, he did escape, but he was like a criminal. I don't think if he actually was or not. I forget the reasoning. Zero's where you use both of them. And you you got to be smart with where you're leaving your partner, whoever you're using, because they can get attacked off screen if they're in a spot where there's zombies or whatever other enemies there are in the game. It's a viral outbreak. Umbrella's obviously the main problem at first, and then it's other ones in the history. There's a lot going on, and I cannot remember a lot of it. I never found a lot of them creepy. I always liked the atmosphere, but I didn't necessarily find them creepy. All the characters are classic. Leon's probably my favorite. Leon S. Kennedy. But people love Jill, Chris, Wesker, Claire, Rebecca. You know, moving on later, you have more characters pop up. They're not as much like Shiva. Is it Sheva? Sorry, Sheva, not Shiva. Shiva's one of the Aeons or Espers from Final Fantasy series. Sheva's in 5 with Chris. I think she's only in 5. I don't think she ever appeared again. It started off as survival horror. Then, by Resident Evil 4, it moves more towards action horror. Even though 4 still has the survival horror vibes. 5, in my opinion, is straight up action horror. And I love 5. I've played through 5 like 3 or 4 times. It's like almost like a guilty pleasure game, even though I love it a ton. Some people kind of give it shit, but it's still a great game, even though, in my opinion, there's not really many horror elements in it. I think it's just straight up action horror. I should say there's no survival horror elements in it. You know, in these games, too, you're mixing your herbs and all that shit. You got your items. You can only carry a certain amount of items. You go to the save room where you're safe. Save your game, you can put items in the chest or whatever. And then you can access them in other save rooms. But sometimes it's like, oh, wait, I need that. I gotta go run back to the save room to get the key I needed. Because you didn't know you needed it at the time. But they're cool games, and they're point-and-click games in a lot of ways, too, right? Just more advanced. You're finding stuff. Like, oh, I need this. I gotta combine this with this. I gotta look at this to find a key in there. And do this. I gotta need this design key. The club key, the diamond key, whatever it may be, to get in here. I need these emblems to put in here. You know, it's a lot of that. And I like it. You know, it's cool the way it progresses and you find stuff. I love the series as a whole. It's not creepy to me overall. 7 to me is extremely creepy. And I will say, Revelations 2, I also find this one very creepy. The first Revelations was exclusive at the time. It came out first on 3DS, I believe. And then it got ported over. I first played it on the 360, I believe. You're using Jill in that one. In 5, Jill's being controlled by something, and then you rip it off. I forget what the thing is. What's the thing it comes into? I forget what they turn into. They start off as zombies, and there's all types of different creatures. Giant spiders, the lickers, you know, Mr. X. What's the one that says stars? Stars. He appears in 2. No, does he appear in 2? He appears in 3. Right? Is Mr. X the one that's in 2? I forget these things, but there's always like a main kind of bad one too that's like kind of following you around, stalks you, tries to kill you. Or is Mr. X the one that says stars? No. What the hell is that one? I should do more research. I can't remember their names. Stars. He's the one that's like programmed to kill all these fucking Stars members. I can't remember a lot of their names. This one is creepy though. You use Claire in this one as well, and Barry, and then there's Barry's kid there as well, and this little girl that is part of Barry's parts, and then Claire and is it Moira Burton? This one's legitimately creepy. The first Revelation's not as creepy. That's the one that's on a ship. For pretty much all of it. And he did some cool stuff in there, I believe, with scanning and stuff. I can't fully remember. Because at the time you used the DS with the cameras and stuff, it had some unique features. And the first one, you know, it had the remake on the Cube, and then they've re-released that a bunch of times. And there's also a Resident Evil DS, Deadly Silence, I believe, which was the first one, I believe, too, with some different features on the DS. There's offshoots like the Outbreaks on PS2. Dead Aim was on the PS2 as well. That might have been a first-person one, actually. So there was different ones here and there. I've not played all of them. Now, this one is the first one I found legitimately creepy. Because I played, when did Revelations came out? Revelations 2 came out in 2015. Oh, that was before this one, but I played this one after this one. That one's creepy too. This one I found legitimately creepy. This is first person as well. I think they released like later versions on newer consoles. I think you can play. And third as well, I don't know. You're Ethan in this one. The mold is the thing in this one. What were the things called? Is it Ouroboros or whatever? In like 4 and 5 where the things bust out of their heads. And turn into, there's a different kind of enemies from the ones you saw in the kind of early ones. Code Veronica's a favorite of mine. Apparently they're remaking that one. I'd be excited to see that one. Use Claire in that one. And then Steve is in that one as well. A lot of people didn't like Steve's character. Chris, I think, appears as well in Code Veronica. This 3, you're using Jill. I don't know if you use Carlos in the original. You do use Carlos in the remake. Fun games, although the remake of 3 kind of turned it more into like an action movie. I like it. The remake of 2 is fucking fantastic. This one's legitimately creepy. You're Ethan. Was it Mia Winters? Your fiance has disappeared. You go to find her. The Baker family's been infected by the mold. What is her name? Like Evelyn or something? I forget. And then spoilers here. You find out in Village that Ethan was infected by the mold. You got killed early on in 7, which explains how, like, he can take the punishment he can take. This one was legitimately creepy to me. The DLC in this one is fantastic. I don't want to spend too much time talking on these. But there's the 2 remake, the 3 remake. I like this one well enough, but it's more just an action movie. This one's a lot better. And the remake of 4 is fantastic as well. You can move and shoot now in these. Changes up things. I've not played 9 yet. I've gotten it still. Requiem. Village, I like. But Village, to me, liked it more the first time. Played through it the second time. Still not a bad game by any means, but I don't like it as much. The second time, it's not nearly as good in my opinion as 7. It loses the creepiness factor outside of the part where you're in the house. I forget the second lord. I think the 4 lords in this one. vampire woman, the Heisenberg dude, Dr. Moreau, the other one, and then the fourth one was the woman with like the puppets. That's the part that's creepy inside that house, because that's when the weird deformed giant baby will like eat you and you gotta like hide. That's the only real creepy part of Village. Still a solid game. Use Chris here a little bit too. He's like almost overpowered. But Lady Demestru, I forget how to say it. They call later D. Everybody's like obsessed with her for reasons. We know what they are. And her daughters that are not vampires. They're more like bugs, I think. Her castle section was cool. That was the first one. I think they probably should have saved that section for last. The warehouse section with Heisenberg one was annoying as shit. I didn't like that section that much. And you get all types of giant alligators in like 4 and stuff, and 5 I think as well as giant gators. 5 is the punching the boulder one. On top of it, it gets goofy in 5, in my opinion. Still a fantastic action horror game, but the story goes all over the place in the Resident Evils, right? But this one, I don't know. It lost the creepiness factor. It still does cool stuff. It's not a bad game by any means, but Resident Evil 6 is a weaker one to me. There's sections that are cool. You use Leon, you use Ada, you use Wesker's kid, you use Chris. It's a very some Ada's section and Leon's are more survival horror-ish, and then action horror for Chris and Wesker's kid, and there might be somebody else. A lot of people don't like 6. I didn't hate it, but there's parts I didn't like. But it's just a great horror game series, and some people are creeped out by it. Like I said, survival horror, you need to be, it doesn't creep me out, but then Dead Space doesn't creep me out, and then Silent Hill creeps me out. Fatal Frame does. Other people don't get creeped out by that. Some people just get creeped out by different types of horror stuff, right? Still, excellent series. There's some misses in there, but not many overall. There's not a lot of like complete garbage Resident Evil games. They're all over all types of platforms now. Anyway, I could talk on and on, but I want this video to be a super, super long. But it's just a great game series, and it evolved over time, which was nice. 4 at first you still couldn't move and shoot, but it had the behind the back view, which helped. Then they're finally like, maybe you should move and shoot because you're fucking moving and attacking in Silent Hill and Fatal Frame. Even though the combat in Silent Hill is not good, but you could move. But Resident Evil's great. You have the storage systems. In 4, you'd buy the suitcase. You could upgrade the suitcase. It's like almost like a little puzzle with the suitcase, having to line up things and put certain things in certain spots. You're selling items to the merchant at that point as well in 4. There's a merchant in Village as well. All of them bring a little something different to the table, really. A lot of the earlier ones are super short. And then... Sorry, I'm almost swallowing there. But there's some more stuff there and shit. But it's a great, phenomenal series. Still going on. Since 96. Still going strong. People love it still. I need to get the new one eventually. I'm just not in the mood, honestly. I'm just like, I don't feel like paying the $70 for it right now. I'm just not in the mood. I got other stuff I can play. But let's move on to Fatal Frame. I've got 3 here. The Tormented PS2. And the remake of the second one, Crimson Butterfly. First 3 were on the PS2. The first 2 were also on the Xbox, but not. The third one was not. It was exclusive to PS2. And then the 4th one was just on the Wii. And it was only in Japan, and now they've since released it. I have it downloaded on the PS4. And then Made in a Black Water, the 5th one, right? That's the 5th one. Was originally for the Wii U. I think I did a gameplay of it for the Wii U. Which was kind of cool. You used the Wii U gamepad as the camera. Then that has since been released elsewhere as well. I played the first one on the PS2. Originally, I rented it. Then I had gotten it on the Xbox and played through it on the Xbox. The second one I played PS2, some on the Xbox. And now I'm playing through it on PS5. Third one I've only played, obviously you only can play it on the PS2. 4th one, like I said, I've played some of on the PS5 as well. And the 5th one I played through on the Wii U. Cool games. I find these extremely creepy. This is the camera obscura. That's your weapon in these games. You're getting different film, higher quality film. Will do more damage. You get the fatal frame by like lining it up. And you get like shutter chances, I think, when you hit them. You can then repeatedly hit them. Because you gotta wait for your film to like reload. The higher quality film goes faster. It's great. There's a lot of creepy parts in this. You'll see ghosts appearing. You can just take pictures with your camera as well. It's just creepy in that way. The way they set it up, you're going through these, kind of like a mansion thing in the first one as well. Crimson Butterfly, you're in the village. Third one, you're kind of all over the place. A lot of it's like in Dream too, I believe. I have not completed this one. You use someone in this one, I can't remember the person's name, but you do use the woman, the girl from the first one as well. But overall, it's really creepy. I find them really creepy. These ghosts will appear out of nowhere. Sometimes you just gotta take a picture of a ghost. You're upgrading your camera and shit. You know. Be seeing shots there, lining them up, hitting them, knocking them back and shit. And the combat works well enough. It's a little clunky, but overall it's nice. Like I said, it's legitimately creepy, but it has the survival horror elements where you're finding things. You go, okay, get this to get that. This one's a little more, I don't know, I can't remember the second one if it had the kind of side quests as it does in this one. I can't remember. But they're just creepy, like stuff happens, you're hearing creepy voices and shit. Quickly seeing ghosts. Sometimes when you reach for an item, a ghost hand will grab you. But I find them legitimately creepy. The 5th one had a cool thing where you play through like almost like these VHS tapes you find, and you're playing through them. Had a cool look to it. It was cool using the Wii U gamepad. It worked fairly well. Obviously, they got rid of that, I would assume, when they put it on like PS4 and Xbox, all that shit. That one was cool too. I just find them extremely creepy, the way the environments are and everything. It's just very creepy. There's not a lot of like downtime where you're not being creeped out in them. But overall, I find them very creepy. I'm going to speed it up here because I'm starting to not feel good. I'm getting like bad heartburn for some reason. I don't like it. So I'm going to try to speed it up here. I apologize. But they are creepy. I can't remember a lot of them. Use the twins. Well, the one of them and the second one disappears. This one you're using two different people as well. The first one, I think you just used the one girl that's in this one as well. I can't remember if you just used one person in Maiden of Blackwater. And what I've played of the fourth one's Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, I've only used one person. They all have very similar feels. Admittedly, they have not evolved as much as like the Resident Evils and Silent Hills and stuff, at least to me. But they are creepy, you know. And you're finding notes, and usually, and the same thing in Resident Evil, you're finding notes. And people are usually going nuts in these notes. It's the same thing in this, or Silent Hill, or Resident Evil. But it's creepy, like a lot of the atmosphere in this game is just a little bit oppressive, and it's like there's nothing, you're not feeling safe at a lot of moments in the Fatal Frame games. But they are legitimately creepy, to me at least. I like the upgrade system and stuff in them. You're buying stuff, you're upgrading your camera. You're buying other stuff, especially in the second one, you're buying other stuff. You can buy like health and shit. You might be able to upgrade your health and stuff as well. But a lot of the stuff gets upgraded through the camera. And there's backtracking in these games as well as the Resident Evils and Silent Hills. A lot of backtracking in these games, right? These survival horror games. But the combat works fairly well in this, and the camera's a unique way to use it. You're getting shutter chances. You try to get the fatal frame where you're lining up the things. Hammering out, doing more damage. You gotta get better film for better attacks and stuff. Sometimes you want to use the lower grade film because it reloads faster. But you can upgrade your capacity, and I think you can upgrade the speed as well, and other things. It's a cool, creepy game series to me, you know. There's only been 5 games, I believe. And there might be an offset one or something, but I really enjoy the Fatal Frames a ton. I think they're creepy as shit. I find them a lot creepier than Resident Evils. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Silent Hills, which is my favorite of the 3 series. I've got 4 here for the original Xbox. I got the remake of 2 and F, Silent Hill F. I played the other ones. I cannot afford the other ones anymore. I had the original on the PlayStation. I think I talked about how I came across that one. I'm not going to talk about it again. But I did get it for free back in 05. And then sold it a while ago. I sold that and the second one back in 06 to get money towards the original, the 360. So I can get Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which I did a gameplay on, if everybody wants to check that out. A second gameplay. Remastered. Well, I got the remastered one. I played the 4th one on the original Xbox, pre-ordered. This is not my pre-order copy. I played 3 on the PS3 because that was a PS3 exclusive. Those have since come out in collections with 2 on other consoles. 2 I played originally on the Xbox, Restless Dreams. I completed it on the PS2 later on. Shattered Memories, I played I don't know if I completed it. That was on the Wii. That was a Wii exclusive. That was like a reimagining of the original. It's different. I also played... No, I'm sorry. I did not play Shattered Memories on the Cube. I watched a gameplay of it. I played it on the... It was called Shattered Memories, right? I played it on the PSP, actually. The PSP also had Origins, which is exclusive to the PSP. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Origins was also on the PS2. There was the Dungeon Crawler one on the Vita. I forget what it was called. Book of Memories or something. There's been a decent amount of Silent Hills at this point. But they are creepy as shit to me. All of them. Even Homecoming, which I do not like. I like Downpour quite a bit, which was the second one during that era, the Xbox 360 era. But Downpour's not. I liked it. A lot of people didn't. Homecoming had the feel down. And it was creepy as shit. It was annoying as fuck though. They I think put a little too much emphasis on the combat, and the combat still sucked. Because the combat in the Silent Hills ain't great. And they technically shouldn't be, because most of the time you're using characters like teenagers, guys that are just clerks, or what was this, Henry? I forget what Henry did. His job was in 4 and stuff. I forget what Harry's job was in the first one too. But they're regular people, so you'd expect it to be clunky. At least you could kind of explain it away. But I played the first one on the PS1, creepy as shit. Even though I played it years later, I played it in 2005. I think it came out in 99 originally. I wouldn't say years later, I guess. 2 is my favorite game of all time. I've talked about it a ton. I love 2. 3 is a continuation of the first one. You're playing as Heather, who was the daughter that was Harry was looking for in the first one. 2 and 4 have nothing to do with the originals. Downpour, Homecoming do not as well. Origins is a prequel. Origins was creepy. I played that through on the PSP. It had like a Pyramid Head wannabe in that one. 4 does not have Pyramid Head. 4 takes place kind of out of Silent Hill. It was supposed to originally be a different Silent Hill. It wasn't even supposed to be Silent Hill. It just turned it into it. You're trapped in the room in this one. I'm going to be all over the place with Silent Hill. This one, in my opinion, has a great story, like 2 does. The story of the first and 4, the third one, like more about the cult and shit and the god. 2 is like the town's fucked up. 2's story's great with the symbolism and the kind of everything's like coming out of James's mind and shit, manifesting in his mind. I'm not gonna spoil 2. You probably know about 2. I thought this remake was fantastic. I still like the original more because it had more of an impact at the time, but I think they did a great job with this one. I really do think they did. I like Silent Hill F. I did gameplay of it. I liked it. Some people didn't. I did a review. This one takes place in Japan. Maybe you don't have to call it Silent Hill, but whatever. I don't know if they're going to tie it into things, but this one has... The only thing I didn't like about this one has a few things. The combat in close quarters was annoying as shit, especially if you had 2 enemies on you. I did like the kind of dark world, or whatever they call it, the dark shrine, where you're getting the... Bad shit happens to your character, this one. I cannot remember her name at this point. But you lose your arm at one point, you get a wolf arm. I think they take out your fucking eye. Maybe, or they rip out... No, they rip the skin off the top of your face. She goes through a lot. The thing that I didn't like about this is I got the ending, and I was like, oh, that's kind of how did I get that ending? I found out that everybody gets that ending. It wants you to play through more than once. I need to play through it again at some point. And I think some puzzles switch up when you play through it again. I really like the atmosphere in this one. It was creepy. Not as creepy as earlier ones. Probably the least creepiest I played. But it looked really nice. The enemies looked nice. I like the story. There's a little throwback to 4, a little nod to 4, with the giant head of the thing, which is the giant head of the woman you escort. I forget her name. In 4, you walk into like a hospital room with a giant head. Downpour also has a nod to 4, where you go into you go up like a fire escape into an apartment, and you see all locks on the door. I'll talk about that more in a minute. But I like this one. The combat with the wolf arm and stuff was cool. Your character goes through a lot of shit. The ending is not good. And then I forget what they want to call the canon ending. I forget which one. But there were some annoying puzzles in this one too. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite in the series. Maybe one day I'll rank the ones I've completed. But I liked it quite a bit. 2 is my favorite game of all time. It's my favorite in the series. Followed by 4. Clunky combat in a lot of them. This one, the combat was a little improved upon, but still, eh. This one did some cool stuff where you find things differently where you did in the original, and there's puzzles that are gone, but you get memories. That's like a collectible. You're like, oh, the original puzzle was here, but you do a new puzzle now, and you get a little thing, and it kind of like the camera angle changes. 2 is creepy as shit. The story's incredible. Best story in a video game, in my opinion. Borrow some stuff like Jacob's Ladder and shit, but I loved it. James was a great character, even in the original, where the voice acting's not as good. The voice acting in this game is incredible, and the facial animation shit. I think this is some of the best voice acting I've ever heard, because the character, the conversations between like Angela and James and Eddie, it's awkward and stuff, which is like would be like in real life when you're just meeting these people for the first time in the situation you're in. It's not like the Uncharted where everybody's quipping every 5 seconds. Even though the voice acting in Uncharted is incredible, it's just a quip fest. By the end of that series, it's just quip, 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 quip. Everything says perfect. Everybody says perfect thing. I love Silent Hill. Pyramid Head, fucking classic. He shows up in Homecoming and he has no business fucking being there. He's in the movie as well. That's when Pyramid Head was all the rage, and they kind of modeled the Homecoming was kind of modeled after the movie more so, even though the movie's based off the first, even though Pyramid Head's there, but first game. But Pyramid Head was like, oh, get him in there. That's when the Western developers took over. With Downpours. Well, Downpour, I think you're like in a convict in that one. The Downpour is, I can't remember a lot of Downpour. I gotta pick it up again at some point, or just download it. I think it's downloadable. This is the part with the Hansel and Gretel. I think you're in the house, and all of a sudden the weather starts happening and shit. It's a cool thing. I don't know, maybe it's just we go in there. That's nothing to do with Hansel and Gretel. I can't remember. I like Downpour. Homecoming, I couldn't beat it. It was so. Downpour is the game where I enjoy it. It's creeped me out. Then I'm getting pissed, like Dante's Inferno. I'm enjoying it, then it's pissing me off like every 20 minutes. And then eventually I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. 4 has a great story with the guy who's mentioned in 2. I forget his fucking name. He was a serial killer. He's there now. The enemy in the room, spoilers, is like the child version of the killer. It's like he looked at the room as his mother. The story's good in this one. I can't remember his fucking name. Walter Sullivan was his name. But you start off in your room as Henry, and you can't get out. There's locks on the door, and all of a sudden a hole appears, and you go through it, and you go to different areas. A prison, I believe, and maybe a school, the usual shit. Creepy enemy design in the Silent Hills. It's creepy as shit. Nurses. This one has a lot of disturbing design, actually. So does the third one. The nurses pop up in a lot of them. For different reasons. There goes the... I gotta mute it. No, wait, it went down. It's gonna come back. That's the garbage. I'm gonna have to mute it when it gets up here. I don't know if I'll cut it or not, or just mute it for a few seconds. But the Silent Hills, to me, are creepy as hell. This one's got a great story. 2's got a great story. F's got a solid story as well. The first and third are good as well. It's just a little more, I think, the cult stuff and shit. They're all creepy as shit to me, though. Combat's not fantastic. But a lot of survival horror. Especially though you're not in it for the combat as much. You'd like for it to be a little better, but you're in it for the creepiness and shit and being scared, right? Out of those 3 series, Silent Hill's creepiest to me. Fatal Frame's close. Resident Evil's not. The best games from a gameplay perspective, especially now, the Resident Evils are the best of the gameplay. Story-wise, Resident Evil's got a cool story, but it gets so batshit crazy, right? Over time. But it has so many classic characters, right? There's some classic characters from the Silent Hills, but you got your Leon in Resident Evil, Jill, Chris, Wesker, Claire, Rebecca. There's so many people you like. It goes on, Barry. Even some of the side characters that do get action. Some of the other games are classic as well, but I just like the Silent Hills creepiness and shit. Shattered Memories, it's like it turns into ice and stuff, and it's a lot of running away. I don't even know if there's much combat in it. It's a lot of you running and stuff and avoiding shit. It was cool for what it was. Origins was pretty cool as well. That was a prequel to the original and stuff. And like I said, a lot of things I don't remember from these two because I've not played them for a while. We use Heather Mason in the third one. They all have the UFO ending. If you got to do certain things, are weird. UFOs are funny. The dog ending in 2 is classic. You know, you can watch this stuff on YouTube and shit. Overall, just a really good franchise. And here comes garbage truck is coming back. What time is it anyway? Alright, I gotta pause it here.